everyone, it's Devin and
Kristen.
We're here to give you a little, peek at what this episode's going to be about.
A rundown?
Just in case you're not interested or you are interested and now you know what's in it. But for this episode, we're talking about haunted houses, etiquette, war stories, all that kind of thing. So if you love haunted houses, please click on through. And we'll see you there. Welcome to Awkward Everything, where we give you your daily doses of...
Doses?
Expialidocious.
Get you...
Yes, we'll give you that, plus your daily dose of everything, especially spooky things.
Spooky.
Because it's...
Now let me introduce
October.
you to the awkward portion. Meet Jordan.
Hi.
And
I've been working on that all week.
and Kristen.
Hi!
And Oliver.
Hi.
I'm Devin. Hi. And Brad.
Hello.
No, you gotta do the arm
But you have to
thing.
do it like we do. Hi.
All right.
Oh.
Today we are talking about haunted houses, the fake kind, instead of the normal, like actual kind.
The fake
The
kind.
fake kind.
So to begin, Kristen and I are both actors at haunts. We're veteran actors, to be specific.
I put in my time. I've earned that title.
Is that a proud thing?
I have.
No.
So I don't think people realize about haunted house actors is that, for one, we don't get paid very well, if at all, to be honest.
Yeah, the first one I ever worked was a volunteer haunt. So it was
I-
all night of free labor.
And so we have to get there if you're just an actor, you generally have to be there around 6 at the latest to get in makeup, get in costume. So even if your haunt opens at like 8 or 9, you're there early. Some people get there earlier than that because the lines can get long because they have like a crap ton of actors to get ready.
Or if you do makeup and act, you're usually there at 3:30 or 4
To
until
do
forever.
everybody. And then as soon as you're done, you get in costume and then you go to your spot, which like my spots, since I worked at a different kind of haunt, were pretty the same. But I believe
Same
Kristen
over.
moved around a lot.
Not really. Like, I had different spot every year, but I pretty much did
Are you
the
doing one
same.
this year?
No, we volunteered last weekend.
We did. It was a
But
lot of fun.
It was great. We
It was
volunteered
like-
at my haunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I volunteer at my haunt, but I don't want to be a zombie, and that's probably where I'd be.
But you're a veteran.
Yeah, but I also know that my throat can only handle so much
The
like
low
zombie noises.
Oh.
Well, no, you have to do like if you're gonna do like the gross noises.
What's a witch sound like?
I mean,
What's a
just
witch?
it depends.
Give me a witch noise. Dance puppet.
Ha ha ha.
Ah, yeah. Terrifying.
Kristen was the witch. I was not.
Yeah, I burned on a stake for like 2 nights, and then I was like, I'm not into this, so I
Not
looked
into
up
being
how to
burned with
summon
a stake?
Lilith and
And
did that.
going on to like we do have some stories that we would love to share. Starting with, why don't you tell them about Abby's Witches Don't Burn?
Okay, so one of our friends volunteered.
I live with her.
She's not my friend. I live with her.
Well, she volunteered with me last year, and they threw her in the room with me, and she's like, I don't know what to do. And I was like, I don't know, just make something up, just do something. And so I think a group came in and like startled her, and she was
That's the best time.
Similar to that.
Yeah.
and she was up on the stake, and she just kind of panicked, and so she like was like, witches don't burn, but then she like jumped off, and she was like, but rope does, and like ran around, and I was like, that's the funniest fucking
But
shit
don't-
I've ever heard in my
Don't
life.
Witches burn.
Not
Well,
if you read Harry Potter.
yeah.
In the Harry Potter series, it said that they just did a spell that made it feel like a light tickling sensation, and then they'd pretend to die, and then they'd go somewhere else.
Go Harry.
Harry.
I mean, he didn't do it.
He
No,
could have.
he did everything.
He did everything else.
Yeah.
God.
That's
He's
tickling
kind of a
himself.
prick.
He's the worst.
He is. He is the worst character ever. but-
Working at that school or just being a student, I'd be like, what? Are exams canceled? Dude, I studied for like 3 weeks for this.
Well, I don't think
Right.
it's that as much what it is. It's the fact that every time he tries to be the chosen one, everyone around him gets hurt or almost dies because they have to save Harry.
Well, then
no,
think about, like,
it's just imagine you trying to just go about your normal
like
school life.
have your Hogwarts experience that your whole family always talked about, and you're like, oh my god, I'm so ready, but you're in the same fucking class as Harry Potter, and
So,
you're like,
shit's-
But you're not his friend. You're
Yeah,
just
I
that
know.
guy over in the corner.
you
like-
just had your classes
You're
interrupted,
Neville.
and like all the professors are all up in his business, so you just don't learn anything.
like fucking Dumbledore being on his dick, and it's like, you almost killed everyone and destroyed the school, and it was awful.
Okay.
10 points, Gryffindor.
Okay, we need to move on before we go on these rails because these will last forever.
That's
Oh,
true.
I remember getting really hurt during one of my nights, and it was because of a customer. But I played a guide for Zombie City, an asylum, and basically my job, I was given a character, I was allowed to like mess with it as I chose, and I had worked there the year before and played a tour guide, so naturally I just continued with her and just did Deborah because because we had a whole inside thing. We made it up on our own like the year before that, and we had like a whole office cast, and so there was like Deborah and Susan and Karen and just all like the suburban mom names, and if anything went wrong, which it did because our hunts
Like
are
everything.
like put together with duct tape, loose wire, and hopes and dreams.
Some tears.
So things went wrong constantly, and so to I guess keep people busy and distracted so that they weren't like not getting a good experience just because something was broken, like I'd come out and Susan and I would have like a battle of wits, but it's like the really polite ones. We're like, oh, Susan, that's an interesting color. Or if our lights went off too early or something, Susan would be like, I guess Deborah tried to plug her phone in again. It was just like little things to stab at each other to keep the night fresh. But I just continued that character, and I led a group, which I did every about 20 minutes, because I'd take a group through. At the end, I'd run back. We start again. All night from 8 p.m. to 3 a.m. with no breaks. I mean, we got a break if we could, but most of the time we didn't have time. Luckily, mine was pretty time-wise, like split, but that could change depending on how busy or how slow we were. So I was leading a group through, and towards the end, a zombie was supposed to attack me and keep me there so that I could run back to the beginning. Well, I don't know if this chick was either super freaked out or just kind of a bitch, but she tried to drag me with one of my friends on top of me who was supposed to be a zombie.
She was trying to save your life.
She was trying to save my life and was dragging me across this train car by my arm with someone else on top of me. And then she reached for my gun, which I can't give someone my gun. I mean, that's just like
Part of the,
logic, because even though it's not loaded and it's like some kind of like paintball gun,
Yeah.
it still shoots out air and stuff,
Mhm.
and it's kind of expensive, so I can't just give it away.
So this person that was dragging you, was it an actor or was it like one of the
No,
people
it
in
was
that
a
group?
customer.
The customer was dragging me, and then she grabbed my gun, and she was dragging me with the zombie on top of me by my arm, because I was still holding on
She's
to the
just
gun.
trying to help.
Well, and like
and,
the zombie
dragging me across.
the zombie that was holding you down wasn't a big girl. Like
No.
she's a tiny person.
She's so cute.
I
But
love
still,
the
zombies are
girl
cute.
dragging me was.
Yeah, and so it was like she's trying to stop you, and then this big old bitch is like, no, and
And like, part of me is like, I don't think she was that scared. I think she was just trying to be,
extra.
yeah. And so my arm made a weird popping noise.
Oh God.
And she finally like left. I forget how we made her like leave finally, but both Yuvi and I were pretty scraped up from being dragged across like the bottom of a train car by like one arm. And I had to sit out for a bit because my arm hurt so bad. And I'm just like, y'all, we don't touch you. So
Part of our rules.
you
Right.
can't touch us. But
Yeah.
what makes it worth it though is like the funny moments of when you just scare the shit out of someone.
Yeah.
I've had people. There was this one kid who was like running, and we had the exit like marked out with cars. So like the cars were all parked to make a little exit lane for like 1 year. And this kid was sprinting out because in the end we just had like a horde, and like there was like fire going off and there was like shooting and everything. So it's kind of like a big like last resistance battle kind of thing. And he comes sprinting out and he slides across like the hood of a car, and there's just a brown streak following
God.
it.
Ugh.
It was so gross but so funny at the same time.
Oh God.
Well, like I went to a haunted last night. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. And we were getting to the end, and we apparently had gone so fast, we had caught up with the group in front of us. And this was like at the very, very end of the haunt. And we pushed through, and we get in this little room with them. And this woman, she's a big girl, and she's apparently is with whoever she's with. It's a group of them, but she has her head just buried into his shirt behind him, and she is sobbing. She is sobbing, and they finally get out, and we start getting out to like close to the parking lot again, and this chainsaw guy comes up. And this girl
Oh,
lets go of him
chainsaws.
and drops to her knees, puts her hands in her head, and starts sobbing.
Yeah.
Like, are you praying to God right now to save you from Mr. Chainsaw Man?
Mr. Chainsaw Man.
I feel like haunts have been kind of ruined for me on one hand, because it's like every time I see a chainsaw person, I just think, oh, that's Rick.
Yeah. Well, because the 2 years that I worked at 7th Street, I was in the very back next to the saws all night. And then, like, my first paid haunt I ever worked in, I worked with Leatherface the whole season. So I feel like I've just, like, chainsaws used to freak me out. But now I don't, like, I hear them and I'm like, or I just, like, smell the gas. I'm like,
Yeah.
yep, we're close to the chainsaw.
Well,
I'm
I
ready.
feel like they've been overdone a lot.
Well, yeah,
in
because
haunted
it
houses.
always
And, like-
scares somebody. So I think they rely really heavily on them.
Which kind of sucks for people who aren't scared of them. Because what they don't, I guess, realize is that the chainsaws aren't, like, working. Like, they either...
There's no chain on
Yeah,
it.
they don't
No.
have the chain on
well,
it.
either they remove the chain or they replace the whole blade with, like, a piece of wood.
Yeah.
Which is what I've had. And, I mean, since we know a lot of haunters,
They'll poke us in the butt with
I was
chainsaws.
like, they'll, like, put it right between the cheeks.
Yeah.
So, like,
That would scare me.
That would be terrifying.
you're like,
Whoa.
but it's not like they don't scare me
No.
anymore, which is probably gonna suck when a serial killer tries to kill me with a chainsaw.
Well, that's what I said.
Fucking bring it on.
Last night, we always love going to the outdoor haunts. Those are my favorites. So last one we went to last night, it's a cornfield and all that kind of fun stuff. And I was on the way there, and we were probably about 5 minutes away. And I said, "You realize if anybody's ever going to sneak in and kill somebody in a haunt, it's going to be an outdoor haunt. Like somebody can literally walk up and start killing people." But besides that, I really learned a lot about my wife last night. This is the first time being married and going to a haunt together, and we were walking through at one point. There were 4 of us in a line together, and I was at the end, and she was right in front of me, and I was holding her hand and whatever. She doesn't get too freaked out about it. She doesn't like loud noises. And we were walking through, and there's this part where this guy is like in this kind of hole. He's making these noises, and you gotta get close to look at it. And all of a sudden, this train, it's like a train comes through, like the noise. And you see like a train coming out the door a little bit. She lets go of my hand and runs and leaves me in front of the train.
Oh.
Now, I don't know if this has something to do with my life insurance policy just now starting, or...
She's like, that.
Doesn't pull you out of the way.
No.
It
She just lets go
leaves you.
and runs.
That's
I'm like,
hilarious.
Now I know how it works.
Hopefully, you know you're smart enough.
She did it 3 times last night in the haunt. She would let go of me and go with the other people.
I have seen so many times, like, girls who are, like, attached to their boyfriends, and their boyfriends are, like, the big, like, oh, I'm not scared. I have seen them turn into, like, screaming girls.
Like little bitches that
Like
they will leave the
kids.
girlfriend
they
and
will
take off
throw
sprinting.
Like, they will push the girlfriend
Yeah.
towards us
Oh my
and,
god.
like, sprint.
and
I'm
it's
like,
hilarious. That's one of my favorites.
Y'all better be talking after this.
Yeah. I think that
I'd
was
be
always
pissed.
the best feeling is scaring the big manly, like, oh, I'm not scared. And especially for like us being small females, and then we get in there like, oh, I mean, yeah, I wasn't scared. Like,
I think Kristen made some guy cry the day we
Oh.
night we volunteered.
That's a proud moment.
it
isn't
was
I
hilarious.
flipped the switch and she comes sprinting out and like gets right up in his face and he is just sobbing and
And
it's
I
this
like,
big
it was-
guy.
They were allowed to wear, like, at 7th Street, they do an intense challenge or something, and you can touch them and stuff. So I pinned him against the wall, and I had my nails on, and I was like, but he's like, crying. He's like, oh, stop. Like, yes. But,
And you wear it with like a badge of pride.
yeah, and you're like,
you come home with like bruises and scrapes and we break something every single time we work because we just go at it at such
Go
an
too
intense
hard.
energy, which
But-
I feel like some actors do that on accident and then some do it on purpose and then I get kind of irritated because they're like, oh, look at my bruises, and I'm like, well, you're
shut
a
the
dumbass
fuck up.
because there are ways to avoid it. Like, no one should try to get hurt. Just
Well, like
sometimes it happens.
when we volunteered last weekend, I got headbutted in the face, my nose started bleeding, and then I tripped over Tabby or something and just went down and like scraped my knees, but I was just like, oh god, so I like popped back up, and it's like you
And you're like,
Just keep
shit
going.
You're committed to
happens.
this.
so
We're
in
doing
character
it.
and movement that like you're just like, oh fuck, gotta roll with it.
Where like somebody headbutts you in the face and you're like, yeah.
Well,
Pretty much.
Yeah,
You
Feeds
gotta,
into
like,
the-
channel it.
yeah.
well, that was great. So we talked about the fake haunted houses. So now let's switch. Let's talk about some real haunted houses.
Speaking of war stories and customers, why don't we shuffle on our way to haunted house etiquette?
Shuffle, shuffle. Is this a shuffle? I don't know what a shuffle is.
I don't know, I can't use my
That's
feet,
more of a
so I'm gonna have to
Look,
like.
nah,
Okay, fine.
yeah.
Shimmy over.
Shimmy
to
on over.
etiquette. I am like 99% sure there are like a million videos about this. So it's not going to be news. And yet people still do stupid shit.
My butt stuck to the seat. I'm trying to adjust.
I'm sure the only people who watch those videos are
Like-
the people who work in the haunts.
Because we
Yeah,
can sit there
exactly.
and laugh like, oh my god, like people do this all the fucking time.
I don't know, because I'm a super anxious person. So like, especially if I'm doing something new, like before I went to my first convention, you better know I watched so many videos on how to prepare because I didn't want to be stuck with like on my period and no like protection or like.
That's like common sense.
That doesn't- you have to watch a video for that?
No, I watched a video on like
What
on
happened?
preparedness, and they're like, "Hey, make sure to pack this, even if you're not like going to be, bring it just in case."
I mean, that's always
or
kind of
for
like a
other
life
people."
expectancy. Like, what's the difference between having sex
That's
in
the
real
guy.
life and then at
Do
a
you-
Comic Con?
Do you know how small my purse is, and how much
No.
shit I try to fit in there? Tampons are not the first thought, especially when I'm not supposed to start.
Me neither.
See, maybe
I mean,
mine was because I went to cosmetology school, so I was constantly around females, but I always
And I
have at least one tampon in my
well,
purse.
like I also underestimated how much water I'd need. Like they were like, "Oh, bring water," and I was like, "Okay,
Got
one or
this
two
one
bottles."
bottle.
And then like I got there and I'm like dying of thirst because it's so hot, and all the water bottles there are like $5, and I'm like, I've made a mistake.
Well, I'm gonna rope it
Moving
in now.
on.
I'm going back to the haunts for a second.
Tampons and water.
Do you wanna do?
Make sure you bring those to your haunts.
Right.
Yes, those
I
are
mean,
important.
well, yes, as an actor, do that
Right.
because it's super important.
I didn't have my purse, and if I did, I could have put a tampon in my nose when they headbutted me. However, going as a person,
a customer. Here's some things that you should know on our half, and then things that should be common sense.
common sense. I think all of it's common sense.
People don't have
but
common
don't know.
sense.
yeah.
There have been so many times that people have come into my haunt either drunk, high, something, like they're on something, and while I get like the appeal to go on stuff, like you're like, oh, it's gonna be fun or something, but it's not.
No, I
It's
don't.
not.
I get like, oh, okay, we'll drink a little bit or something. People come in stumbling shit faced.
And that's where I'm
And I'm
getting
like,
the
what?
stumbling. I have had like there used to be like a step up into my part, and so I'd be like, oh, watch your step every single time. And there was this one girl that I was like, oh, watch your step, and she just
Didn't
face
watch her
planted,
stuff.
like on the floor because she was so drunk. And I was like, I told you to watch your stuff.
I think a really big thing is we are in a social media age. And so everyone's like, I want to Snapchat while I'm going through the haunted house. And it's like,
Or they're
please.
like, I want to Snapchat
don't,
while I'm drunk.
Well,
Going through a haunted house.
yeah.
It's like they don't realize that the terrain is so not smooth and easy. Like
not
they're-
even that, but like
it's a haunt. Like,
Yeah.
with the people come in and record, they use their flashlights and shit, and it's like, if I'm hiding in a dark room and I've been in this dark room for hours, when you come shining your flashlight in my face, I'm gonna be blind and I'm gonna be pissed. And it's just rude.
And Kristen throws things when she's surprised.
Yeah, I'm like,
She has broken a wall by
I'm
throwing
never
a
coming to
book
your all's haunt.
across the room.
yeah,
You can. You just can't come drunk. And you
You
can't,
you
use
can't
a
shine your flashlight in
Let me
my
ask you,
face.
because I've seen these people at haunts too, and they sometimes there's definitely a line that people tend to cross. They're always trying to be the funny guy in a group that always just try to laugh
You're
and make
not
fun of
fucking
people.
funny.
I feel like
I've
at some
heard that
point it's
joke.
okay, like they try to make a little whatever, but then there's some people
I
that
get
take it
'cause
too
it's like,
far.
I get startled and I'm awkward. I'm like, I'm making
Well-
a joke, but it's
Well, some people are like loud and obnoxious and
Right.
trying to
I
play
think-
with the actors.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's a line, and you just really need to feel your situation, because I'm comfortable enough to play back. So, like, I'll
as long
go
as
with
it's
it.
in scene. Because
Yeah.
if you're like being, I don't know, strangled or something, and you're like, ha ha, ha yeah, like that's not in character, and like,
Not
But-
being strangled, that's a funny
if you-
joke.
and again, just like feel your situation. Like if the actor isn't really saying much back, either they're inexperienced or that's part of their character, and it's gonna make it awkward for everyone because no one's laughing at your stupid joke.
that and like flirting with the actors.
Well, where best to pick up a woman
okay.
Right,
than
like
at a
wait,
haunted house?
this bitch
That
covered
zombie,
in
though.
blood and like drooling and shit. That's gonna be
Well,
my
if
wife.
If that's what you're into.
They use,
You know?
I think a lot of people use flirting to cover their fear
Right.
and to make themselves more comfortable.
That's
But
why I got
there,
married.
there are times where I get so awkward.
He was just terrified.
Like the
Terrified.
first time I worked, I had to play like someone that got killed like right at the beginning, and so I got shot, and then I'd like throw myself to the ground, which we didn't have any like padding at first.
It was just the ground.
So it was
Yeah.
just
The ground.
gravel and stones because one of the actors changed it and I was new, so I didn't question it. And it wasn't until like the end of the night when my like stage director came through and was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like,
Just covered in bruises
"Well,
and
he
cuts.
said
and
that
God.
this was supposed to happen," and he's like, "No."
Yeah. But-
No.
It's like, oh, can
Well-
I get your number? Can I get your number? And you're like, no,
I started
like,
that for a reason.
Like-
I was gonna be like, I had so many comments walking by. People were like, "Oh, like she's hot even when she's dead," or they'd come up to like my dead body, which don't touch an actor that's playing dead. That's
don't touch an actor,
weird.
period.
in a no-touch haunt, yeah, but definitely don't go out of your way to touch them because
or pull them by the arm.
most
Or
of the time,
yeah,
or
or drag them on the
across,
ground.
like train cars.
Right.
That's fine. No.
Now see, I've never done a touch haunt before. I've only done the no touch haunt, so I don't know.
Well, if
So
you work
how-
at a haunted house,
I have not done that either.
all haunts are touched.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I should say this. I go to haunted houses that are no touch, but they do a little bit of like touching. Like they'll just like brush up
Yeah,
against you or
I mean,
grab,
Yeah, well,
but they
there's-
won't grab you and throw you.
Yeah.
So like, take me through someone that's never been to a touch haunt. What is the major difference? I mean, I know they touch you. Don't
I
be
mean,
an
they-
asshole.
yeah.
But like, what
I mean,
kind
no,
of
like-
thing?
Start swinging.
It
Expect?
depends because
If it's a good haunt and they do it well, then I really like it. But if they're just, oh, I'm gonna grab your hair, I'm gonna push you on the wall, I'm gonna poke you,
We're like,
like,
honey, we're not
Gonna
dating.
poke you.
yeah, I mean, like, I've been to haunts, they like grab your hair, pull you back, like grab by the throat and put you against the wall, like stuff like that.
Fear Fair that has like a whole zombie.
And this is supposed to
like,
scare
portion.
you, or
Yeah, I mean,
Depends on the person.
or you know,
Well, there's some people that get really creeped out by like personal space.
yeah,
They really don't like it, and so as like I've mostly worked in, like I only worked in no touch haunts. So what I do is I get really really close to them.
mm-hmm.
I'm not touching them, but I get really, really close,
Like-
and I'm like
Yeah.
blocking them in, and you should see how fast someone goes from macho
Yeah.
to uncomfortable.
Right.
I will say there was this really fantastic actor last night when we went through, and we were just going through this one part, and he was kind of like standing in the way. And my wife is the kind of person that won't like push through; she'll just kind of wait for them to move, and he refused to move. So like we just stood there and doing this whole little skip for like 2 or 3 minutes, and we finally get past, and he kept catching up to us again, stepping in front of us. And he did a great job. And
Yeah.
he's very fun with it. I'm walking next to him, I'm like setting picks like we're in basketball, and he runs into me and gets in. He's jumping around.
Yeah.
He's doing a great job. It's like actors like that, and like they're touching you
Yeah,
is
but
great.
a
It's the
touch
right.
haunt's different than because it's like any haunt, they're gonna brush against
Yeah.
you. They're gonna like
Like,
accident.
as like a guide and stuff, I have to like lean people in
Mhm.
or like touch their shoulders
Right.
and stuff.
But that's
and you-
different than like
Touch haunts.
Grabbing their
haunted
throat.
hotel or something that will like grab your hair or push you on a
I've like
bed
had
or.
like them shove me against the wall so hard that my head like smacks back.
Mm-hmm.
And so my feeling with it is if it's used well, it can be amazing. But
Because when
I
people
think
are like,
some of the
I'm gonna
best-
get you, but they can't touch you. So,
Yeah.
but when they're like, I'm gonna get you, and then they grab you
So-
by the throat and throw you
but
on a
that's my
bed, it's
problem.
different.
Is most I feel like most actors that work in a touch haunt, they use touching as like
Their go-to
crutch.
scare. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
they're
I
like,
agree.
"Oh, I'm
That's why I
gonna
said if
touch you,
it's
so I'm
done
gonna, like,
well.
grab you. But I feel on the other hand that no touch haunts, if they're done well, are even scarier.
Yeah, because
Because if you,
Mhm.
I think it's a good, like, it's a badge of honor if you can creep someone out and scare them without even touching them.
mm-hmm.
Like,
It's more psychological.
yeah,
yeah.
like I
They
mean,
psych
like I
themselves
said, I get it
out
in
and-
like people's personal space,
Mhm.
and like there is, she's like the costume director, but she does line entertainment as well. Aiden, she can get the creepiest, craziest like eye.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all there, like just in her eyes, and you're like, oh my god, this lady is like crazy. She's lost it, but hasn't. Like she's a totally like nice, sweet person,
Right.
but
Yeah.
like she can just get this facial expression, and it's just amazing.
Well, yeah,
what
because
people
you
can
have
do.
actors like. So I was in New York a few months ago. They have this like little interactive theater thing you go to and whatever. And some of the actresses there, like you go through that, and they give you these looks, like they're going to kill me.
Yeah.
right now. But then you meet them afterwards and you talk to them, and then they're just the nicest,
Yeah,
sweetest
the
little
sweetest
girls, and you're just
people.
like, I thought you were going to snap my neck like
Well,
an hour
that's,
ago.
a really big thing that and just haunts, movies, anything is like acting with your eyes and like being able to portray emotion and shit like that without even saying or do it, just looking at somebody and they're like, fuck. Like that's why I think I love Evan Peters so much because
Oh, yeah,
he's
he's good. At it.
amazing.
He's
But-
really good.
The nonverbal.
The problem
Yeah.
is when you work in a
Psychological.
no-touch haunt and people use that as an excuse to try and like abuse the actor.
Mm-hmm.
So like,
Mhm.
oh, you can't touch me, and they try and get close to you and like crowd you in. I have had like big old dudes. It's normally gonna be dudes because they're normally the ones bigger than me.
Well, that and
Like
it's like
try and like act macho or like they try and get in your face, and it's not scaring me, but it's like ruining the experience for the rest of the group.
right.
Because this one guy has to stand up and
He has to show he's a man.
he has to show off, and I'm like, you're ruining this for everyone.
I'm
And I feel
such a man. Watch me take out this little girl.
Right.
this way about most customers that are just jerks. Like they come in, you pay. Like haunts are
It's
cheap.
No,
expensive, and
They're
you're
expensive.
wasting
and I've
this
had
money.
so many groups come in, they're bored, they don't want to be there, like they're just total assholes, and like people are trying to scare them, and they're just like, oh, I'm not scared, and I'm like, you're not even having fun.
Right.
Well,
That's
see,
like
I don't go to haunted house to be scared because
No.
I don't get scared. I mean, when you get a jump scare or a loud noise, I'm like, startled.
right.
But I go through it for the experience of
Yeah,
it, to see the actors and to see what it's
I love
the
looking at the
sets.
makeup, the costumes,
Yeah.
the
The
sets.
Now I
that
get
they
some
have,
people
yeah.
go through it to actually be scared and to be
Yeah.
terrified, and that's great if you. But I'm just not
It
Yeah, I
doesn't
don't-
that
scare
kind of
me.
mindset.
It doesn't scare
But it's the
me,
experience you're paying for.
But I
Right.
go in and I have fun.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm like, dialogue with an actor can like go either way, because I talk to the actors a lot because I don't get scared.
Mhm.
So to entertain myself, I like chat with them, and most of the time they'll chat back.
Right. Improv is a big thing.
Yeah.
And like when you go through and you have that actor that's like everything you say, they're coming back with something and you're just like, bravo. This is awesome.
Great, yeah.
One of my favorite things as a guide was the fact that I had to lead people through. And at first, I was supposed to be like a really like scared character because I'm in the zombie apocalypse and I've been here. And I was like, well, if I've been here long enough, I've eaten rats. I feel like I'm hardened enough. And two,
That's your hardened. You've eaten rats, so I'm
I've
a
eaten
badass.
rats. I've survived. Like, it's
You've
hard.
seen some stuff.
It's hard to lead a group through when they're being assholes if you can't control them.
Yeah. If you're like timid and scared and,
And
you're like,
control is a
"Oh."
big thing in haunts. It's why I feel like touch haunts can lose control because they're touching you. So now you lost that control because now you've touched that person.
Well, that
and
and
that's
like,
like that. They're like, that's the best you got.
Mhm.
as when it comes to like the control and everything, taking that away from the customer
That's the biggest
as the
thing.
actor, and that makes you uncomfortable when you're like, I'm not in control of this situation anymore. I don't know what's going on. I'm starting to panic.
One of like,
like
the biggest mistakes you can make as an actor is give them a choice.
yeah.
Because like it's one of the first things you learn in training besides like don't touch people
It's
and
like when you're
everything.
like, come back,
and
or
like you learn like who
whatever.
you learn how to figure out targets,
Yeah.
look at a group
Mhm.
and figure out which person to scare, because it's not the person that's like the most scared. That's not the target. That's never the target unless you want a really easy scare,
Yeah.
which you don't get anything out of an easy
Scaring
scare.
You don't
Yeah.
earn anything from an easy scare.
So then what would you all say if you all had to pick one rule that everyone should follow when they go to a haunt? What would your one rule be?
Don't be a dick.
Right.
Like,
That just
That's
applies
a,
anywhere.
that's a life rule.
well, I mean, it's
Right.
like you go there to have fun. Like, we work there to have fun. We're not getting paid a lot. If you look at it, I made maybe $3 an hour
Ooh.
working there. And that was with me putting all of my energy in it. Every weekend night, I was there. Saturday mornings, I was exhausted, so I couldn't do anything. But I had to be there and ready to do Saturday night. I'm there from 6 p.m. to 3 a.m.
Yep.
And I don't get a break.
Yeah.
So I want to have fun with this, and I want other people to have fun. Like, that's where I get my enjoyment. So don't go in being like,
Don't
with
be
the
a dick.
mindset.
Don't be a dick. Is that
Don't be
your
a dick.
rule as well?
Yeah, probably. Don't be a dick. And I think cell phones are a really big thing that piss me off. Like when people are coming through and taking pictures and like have their flashlights or something. Don't fucking do that. Like it's shitty because you're blinding fucking people and you're not
It throws
paying
off the
attention.
actors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It ruins the experience.
If
It
I have
ruins
to
it for
get out
everyone.
of character to say, put your fucking phone away, I'm gonna be pissed because I'm like, okay, now I have to get back in character, and
Yeah.
now the
And that takes
I
a lot of
mean-
effort.
and it goes with
Yeah.
don't be a dick.
Yeah.
I mean, even like haunt people, when we have flashlights, they're generally covered with red paper to make it easier on the eyes. So I'm like, no one use their lights. I've had actors blind me
Yeah.
coming through, and I like put your phone at the ground, and like she told the other girl who had her cell phone out also, but she didn't do her own, and I was like, I'm talking to both of you.
Bitches.
Aim at the ground because I have been in the dark for so long, and now you're blinding me, and I can't see.
Yep.
Well, I think we did a good job here today. I think we really changed the world.
Right. We're
Haunted
making a
houses.
difference.
We didn't because
Well,
there's so many videos like this.
the more you
I
know.
it
No one
Right.
will listen. Yeah.
so definitely remember to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications. Remember, tell us in the comments what you want to see, what you want to do.
wanna go to
Also
a
in the
haunt
comments
people.
going to be our social media. Contact us, talk
Yeah.
to us. Tell me how awesome I am. I need it in my life.
And he does.
He doesn't get it from us.
I know.
Or you can just comment and talk about how cute Oliver is right now, because
Well, they didn't hear
Our
anything
mascot
that I
dog.
said because it was just constant snores.
No.
All right.
We'll see y'all next week.